Yeah, absolutely.
We're on
Nathaniel.
YouTube now.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. We don't have to segue. All right.
Maybe.
Beautiful.
I'm glad we have one of our listeners, at least, that's actually paying attention to that. One of our listeners actually watches this live on
Who was
YouTube.
Hey, shout out to that listener.
That my wife.
My
Oh.
wife.
My wife watches
wife.
on the TV and
And
on
we're
YouTube.
live on YouTube. Just got alert. All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Part one. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. We are going to derail probably a bit more. Hope you can keep up. Cheers. Have a great week. There's Shaw again saying, "Sir."
This Pakistan guy is electric, bro.
All right. Do we want to do whiskey glass set? We did a lighter
No.
last week. We did the whiskey glass the first week.
No, pull something else.
Well, we got one cutter.
Check that mystery bag there.
Ooh,
What's in the box?
little secret.
What's in the box? I'm gonna check in on Tony's room here.
Oh, and there's a warhead lighter or warhawk.
I was about to say warhead lighter. I'm like, I didn't even get one of those.
Oh,
Good God.
there's
We do have some nice Murcielago hats.
That good boy.
Steve. There are 4 tins.
Oh, adorable.
Those are Dominoes.
Yep.
That's a good boy right there.
That is a good boy.
That's a good boy. Better not poop in that crate again.
We're still on Facebook, right?
Warhawk
Huh?
flask.
We're still on Facebook, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Warhawk flask.
No, I just added it.
We got 3 Warhawk flasks.
Do a Warhawk flask along with a Trinidad Domino set.
Sweet.
You can drink while you play. Let me pull up the old Patreon page here.
All right, so here is the Trinidad
Sean, grab the mic.
Espiritu
You're an impartial.
Series 1 domino set. It is a 10. So there's that.
Thank you for
That's-
tapping that.
Is that a double 6 set?
Jeff Dunn says,
I-
Mike.
I doubt it just because the box is not that big of a box. So it's probably just a regular
Thank you, Jeff.
domino set. And then there is the Henry Clay
Ooh.
brown leather wrapped Warhawk flask. So it's
Jackhawk 9000.
brown. The Warhawk 9. Yeah, funny. Yeah, sampler that we had over
So
the.
Grant Sewell is here in Columbus. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sewell?
Sewell.
Sewell. That's like Joe. That's like Joe Sewell, the Cleveland
Sorry,
Indians
Grant, I'm
back
just
in the
looking at
day.
this
Wait,
now,
am I
I'm
supposed
sorry.
to unmute your mic?
But he's a new Patreon customer, $10 a month. Thank you very much. We're going to make sure I got you in that drawing here.
Oh, Mr. Shaw said, "Good luck, sir."
Sewell. Got it.
Yeah,
That's what
like
I
Joe
said.
Sewell.
I got that one right.
All right, let's do this here.
Well, Steve, if you take down the Patreon banner, people will be able to see the domino set and the.
Yeah, let's take
There we
down what
go.
we're talking about.
There you go. Domino set and then the Warhawk flask.
Warhawk 9000. All right, we got. So Grant, you are in the drawing here, just so you know. I appreciate that. So what we will do here.
Can I pick the number this time? I think Sean picked week 1.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, man. Out of 20, 1 through 20. Surprise everyone here, Nate.
I'm going to go with my lucky number, 13.
Oh, geez, I gotta
Omar
count down.
Vizquel, baby.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Clay Miller.
Clay Miller.
See what's going on with Clay here.
I believe Clay is local.
He is local. So, Clay, if you're listening. So, Clay has been a supporter since April of 2020. And he's a $5 a month Patreon member. So,
Shout out to Clay.
over that time, $5 a month. Like I said, everything helps. It's amazing.
It's been
You
a
guys are
year.
amazing.
Yeah.
He's almost it has. Yes, yeah, right. April 1st. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, he's done 12 months of contributions. Clay Miller, I'll get a hold of you here. You got a flask, Warhawk 9000 flask, and a Trinidad domino set.
If you don't know how to play dominoes, now's the time to learn.
That's right. All right.
That's a great game, especially cigar lounges and cigar shops.
yeah.
I thought you
I
meant the raffle.
absolutely.
Oh.
Well, raffles are great too, but dominoes.
I think
That's
so.
a way that you and other guys that are all in the same stuff, cigars wise, can just bond naturally. I've had some of the best moments, sipping on some bourbon, talking a little shit, and playing dominoes.
Yeah.
I'm arguably a better domino player than Eric Espinosa. Arguably, some people would
He's
say.
not listening. I already brought Jack
Right.
in.
So Eric's not listening. So Jack, if you're listening still, make sure you tell Eric I said that.
No, actually, well, before we get into that, I'm gonna text Eric right now.
Yeah, you go do that.
Oh yeah, for the people that play dominoes regularly, bones.
Yeah, bones. Yeah, it's
Throwing bones.
It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. You just get to interact with some great people during that, and you get to learn a lot about people.
I've actually been to cigar shops that had dominoes tables
Oh yeah,
throughout their lounge. So, so that way people aren't taking up seats at like your regular smoking lounge tables. They have designated seats for the guys that actually want to sit there and play dominoes. And it's one of those things where you might have a couple guys in a cigar shop and they may be domino players and they're like, all right, we need to wait for one more. We need one more. We need one more.
right.
And then the next person that sits down like, hey, you want to play dominoes?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
Like,
you
I've
get
never
real
played.
excited.
That doesn't matter. We just want to play. Get over here.
Right.
We'll teach you.
Yeah, it's always a great time, and the amount of
I
epic shit talk is just.
I know how to play dominoes. I just don't. Like,
Is that a kind of like a reverse negative type thing? You're like, I know how to play dominoes, but I really don't, or you just don't actively play.
And this is a very Midwest thing. I would rather play euchre. That's my thing.
Yeah, I'm not a card guy.
I'd
I'm too
rather-
young for cards. I
I'd rather
guess.
play euchre. I've loved playing euchre ever since I was a kid. I always wanted to get in the game. I learned how to play euchre playing two-player euchre.
All right, let's get started on part 2 here.
Part 2.
Might have a surprise guest coming in for a moment. Yeah, I know. You're here, Sean. I got it. Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. Thank you for joining us for part 2, episode 163. We got Tyler Jones here from Espinosa Cigars. We are finishing up the Laranja Escuro. Listen to part 1. If you guys are clicking on just the audio, make sure you check it out. Part 1 for 163. We had a great episode there as far as that goes with rating this stuff. And I want to thank our sponsors. We got Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio. They kind of set all this up. They're kind of the hub of everything, which we appreciate. Check them out. They have the Laranja Escuro along with other Espinosa products. Great Espinosa account.
Oh, absolutely.
And check out all their products, including Laranja Escuro. We got the Crema also coming up, which I'm looking forward to smoking. And then also Altadis USA, we just did a raffle. And out of the all the patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast members, we had who was a Clay Miller actually won the
Clay Miller
Espiritu Domino set along with the Warhawk flask. So check all that out. And then also we have BS Cigar Company, which the gold is made by Placencia and the silver is made by none other than La Zona and Espinosa. Worked with Eric Espinosa and Hector as well about that blend, and we've been selling like crazy. Pepper Bomb, great cigar. Definitely have a couple of those actually inside that I forgot to bring out, but that'll probably be my 3rd cigar of the night. And
I look forward to smoking one.
Good. Oh, I got one for you.
Beautiful.
Good. And also, like I said, patreon.com/bourbonbs podcast. You guys can support it. We have a new supporter tonight, Grant, so we appreciate that. You're amazing.
I think another one just
something popped up there.
Yeah, I think someone else just popped up as a new
We'll
Patreon.
add that on there. It didn't pop up on my stuff here. And then also in the intermission, I do want to point this out that we were talking about dominoes. And Tyler, what did you say?
Basically,
Don't
Dominoes-
dance
What
around
did you
it.
call out?
Don't dance around it.
well, I happen to maybe call out my boss kind of Eric Espinosa. We
We didn't know if he was listening or not.
yeah, we don't know if he is or not, but me and him have done battle at Domino's in the past, and I believe I came out on top. So until he comes up here and proves me wrong, and I think I might be the better domino player.
Is that what
So
you think?
yeah, I would.
That's what you think.
Yeah, I would.
Well, we have a special guest. And I don't know where this is going to go. I just, I reached out to Eric in the intermission and I told him that Tyler Jones was actually calling you out and saying that he's a better domino player. And what did he say? Let me pull up before I bring, if I can get him on here. I don't know if he's behind. He might be in the green screen. I don't know, or green room. Not even in his dream. Welcome to the stage here.
Boss man.
Eric.
What's up, fellas?
How you doing, Eric? I always like that you're it doesn't matter what you're doing. You make yourself available when it's important.
That's what we do at Espinosa Cigars.
Actually, I was online trying to look for a new rep out in Ohio. And
check Indeed.com. We do have someone in Pakistan looking for a job.
Yeah. So let me tell you what he's talking about, okay?
Let's hear it.
He couldn't beat me in dominoes if his life depended on it. Now they played this domino. I think it was called Choo Choo Train or something like that. I have no idea, dude.
Sounds like a child's game.
Dude, it's definitely a child's game. It's got nothing to do with dominoes. Everyone can play. You can play by your size, his size. The mailman side, the UPS driver side. I mean, I don't know. I've never seen that type of domino in my life. I mean, that's not even a game. If you and I would challenge him and anybody. I mean, I play dominoes every day of my life. Whether I'm on a plane, I have the app on my phone and all that. I mean, anything that has to do with cards games or even board games that takes a strategy. I really look deep into it, and and if I enjoy it, again, being Cuban, we played double nines. If you're Puerto Rican, most Puerto Ricans play double six, Dominican double six, Jamaican double six. And then there's a lot of people play multiples of 5. But I promise you guys that Tyler would not beat me in a game of dominoes.
I love it.
Hey,
I had to go to the source. I appreciate you taking time out of your evening for this.
We'll see about that next time you're with me, boss.
You got it. I'll bet you my company with your job.
Wow. That's a bold statement. Eric, we're smoking the Escuro, the Laranja Escuro tonight. I don't know if you saw that or not, but fantastic.
Nice, I appreciate it.
Congrats on the #1 rating in Cigar Snob.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's like I tell everybody, I enjoy cooking, and if you use good ingredients, you have a better chance of your meal coming out better. And that's what we do. And this year we got a lot of accolades. We got that one, and we got the Cigar Aficionado. We got the number 13 cigar of the year with the Warzone that we did for them.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I mean, I've had other number ones, but in other podcasts and blogs and all that. But to get it, I feel the Cigar Aficionado is the Bible of our industry. As far as magazines go, and Cigar Snob is probably number 2, and getting the number 1 in that magazine, with the competition we have with so many great cigars out there, it was a real proud moment for us.
I know it hasn't been a whole lot, a whole length of time since you got that rating. Has it changed anything in the business so far? Have you seen?
Absolutely. I don't have any. I mean, yes, it did. I mean. Give it to you. We ordered because here's the thing. It's always one thing or another. Steve can tell you that. If it's not the band guy not making bands on time, it's the box guy. If not, it's this, that, what have you. So as soon as it came out, we sold out in minutes.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a whole lot. Maybe a couple hundred boxes of that size, and then I got a shipment in about 2,000 boxes, and they went out.
Yeah.
So has it changed? Absolutely. I mean, and it definitely works. That magazine works. And I told that to Eric Calvino, who's the owner of the magazine, because I remember one time we did a cigar, and we did an ad, and we didn't have the cigar yet. And the ad comes out, and everybody was asking me for the cigar. Which wasn't available yet because we didn't get it in yet. And how'd you know about it? Oh, because the magazine, your ad, the magazine, your ad. So, the magazine still works. I mean, and people still read it. And, You know, and again, like I said, it was a real problem moment for us.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have,
I was
right?
getting ready to ask if it was.
It isn't. It isn't. Look, I'm not that guy that. Oh, it's great to have, back orders, because the problem with back orders is that nobody makes money with that. And then we know that our industry that all you got to do is try something else. You might like it more, you might not, but we're doing the best that we can to get it out there. And we're not the only companies that have back order issues now. We're sort of in sort of in a little boom right now, and yes, I'm proud that we have back orders, but am I happy about it? No. I mean, I want to get out there and get people to try it and smoke it and for everybody to enjoy it.
Let me ask you this real quick before we let you go, because I know you're busy and everything. But if they go to a brick and mortar and they're looking for the Laranja Escuro, and somehow they're like, well, we don't have that because it's on back order, what would be the first, I guess, alternative if they're trying to get into the Espinosa catalog? What would be suggested from you to say, hey, we don't have the Laranja Escuro, but I tell you what, try this one until you can get your hands on that?
I'll tell you, you'll probably have two options. Option number one, the Murcielago, depending on where you are and what part of the country, how you pronounce it. It's still a Maduro wrapper. Of course, it's a different. The Escuro is Mata Fina, and the Murcielago is a Mexican San Andre. But strength level, they're both on par. Okay, and then if you want just a little bit more strength, then you pick up the 601 Blue. Which right now it's selling like crazy. And so those. And if you wanted to kick it up a little bit more, and then you get one of the Warheads. But I would say the first choice will have to be the Murcielago or the 601 Blue.
And if you're in Columbus, Ohio, you pick up the BS Silver.
You pick it. Well, yeah, that's completely different. You're talking about Habano.
I know. That's a Habano Rosado Oscuro. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Eric, I appreciate you calling out Tyler and being there.
You're in a podcast. You shouldn't be lying to the audience out there. The truth will set you free, my friend.
That's what they say, right?
The opinions expressed are the individual opinions by the makers, not of the podcast as a whole.
we went to the source tonight. Thank you, Eric.
No problem, brother. Always a pleasure being on your show. I love what you guys do. You always got my support in anything that you guys do. We've always been considered. You're one of my boys out there. So whatever I can do to help, and whenever we can catch a liar, let's catch him.
You got it. Thanks, Eric. Have a great night.
You got it.
Have a good one, boss.
You got it. Bye-bye.
I think it's funny he said that, because when you asked that question, immediately I was thinking if someone likes something a little bit stronger, Murcielago. They want something just a little bit less, but rich flavor. Yeah. The 601 Blue is the exact same thing I was thinking.
Absolutely. I mean, shit, I was smoking a 601 Blue before we
I've got two of them with me.
I mean, the 601 Blue, you like broadleaf. We stressed this on the last podcast I was on. It's a great cigar, and that's a great option. It's one of my favorites.
And what I like about that broadleaf is that one does not dry out the palate.
No.
Because I've had broadleafs that'll do that, and that 601 Blue is just absolutely fantastic.
You guys are both on point, but what my segue was...
We went a different direction.
No.
Oh.
No. You guys are absolutely. But for those that clicked on, part 2 on the audio, for example, that may or may not be as interested in the cigars, great education straight from the source. And you guys are absolutely on point that everyone's on the same page. I agree completely with the 601 Blue, with the Murcielago and everything else when you can't get your hands on the Laranja Escuro. But what I want to say is that Tyler brought this topic for part 2, which is keep your head on a swivel. And I don't know if he was expecting his boss to come on the podcast tonight after he was talking shit about being able to beat him in dominoes. I sent a text, which I love, Eric.
Didn't see that one coming.
I love that he did not look to his right as I'm texting him. And then if I showed it on the screen as we're watching it, that I copied the link to the StreamYard, and then I sent it to Eric. And sure enough, who pops up?
Eric Espinosa.
Surprise.
The man himself. Still better domino player, but yeah.
Keep your head on a swivel.
See, we got a little war going on right now on the
Richie Riot on there with you guys.
Jeff Dunn, Brian Higgins, and Dave Osmore, some of my Dayton boys who have seen me in action playing dominoes. They know what I can bring to the table. So So
So now that Eric's
apparently,
gone, now that Eric's not on the feed anymore, now you're talking shit some more.
no. I'm just stating what other people are
God
saying.
bless you on Thursday.
People are
Tyler, I'm going to give you a piece of advice because Eric is your boss and is controlling your paycheck, right? Let the Wookiee win.
Hey, he's the alpha dog, so I have
I was
to
gonna wear
emulate
that shirt
myself as
tonight.
an alpha dog too. If I work for the guy, I got to be an alpha dog too, right?
You could try.
You can try. You got to try.
You can fucking try. I was gonna wear the alpha dog shirt that I get compliments on tonight. I'm wearing, and Sean is in the audience. Eric, we did the Smoking 10 event. I think it was Smoking 10 event 2.
Yep,
maybe?
I was there.
And it was about 29 degrees.
Oh, it was
And we were in a
brutally
tent.
cold.
It was in March, and I don't know what year it was. Several years back.
That was March 2014.
Wow, what a memory on this guy.
well,
Where'd you
There was
find
no,
this guy?
I'm not getting that story. There's a reason. All right, no, all right.
Oh,
The mics are hot.
They didn't hear.
Anyways, what I was saying is that the next year we did an event, and he did some custom T-shirts for the Smoky 10 event, and it ended up being a really warm March.
That-
for us.
yeah.
So it didn't, but everyone loved the shirt, and it's got. So we're in Columbus, Ohio, Tinder Box at Easton, and it says, "I froze my Buckeyes off at," and then it has the Smoky 10 event custom shirt.
I wish I had that shirt.
Dude, it's
Yeah. And then
you go to the bathroom, I was going to step on there. Don't touch your dials. Steve.
well, and then he also did the Lazona State of Mind shirt.
Yeah, so we did that one too. Yeah, so this is a great thing. So Eric, again, is one of the best in the business. I mean, again, that shows you. I've told people this really quick. When you talk about keeping your head on a swivel, it's one of those things that stuff like that. When you have the relationships with people and stuff like that, like I'm not calling you out. I wasn't trying to get you in trouble. Clearly, this is all in fun and jest.
Right, of course.
But I like that about him is that I have said this since I started really having a connection with Eric, doing the Be a Silver with Hector, after the fact. Those guys, there's a lot of companies you do business with, a lot of friends that you'll text them
Right.
and a day will go by or whatever, and you don't hear back. And then finally they get back to you. Eric just proved what I've told people for a long time. I will send him a text,
Right.
the owner of the company, and within 5 minutes, unless he's busy, he calls me. It happened recently when I said, "Hey, how many? We're looking to place an order for BS Silvers. Also wanted to know how many bands we have left in your warehouse, for the BS Silver." And literally 3 minutes later, he's calling me. He's like, "What's up, bro?" Like, he's like, starts talking to me about that as opposed to doing a text conversation. I love that about the Espinosa family, and Eric is the patriarch of it. And I think it before we get off the cigar thing, when you're dealing with that, you're buying from a family. And even though, you guys don't own farms, you do own a factory, you work with some of the best, you buy some of the best tobacco, but it still has that family feel. He puts his name on it. That means a lot.
Yeah, when I moved, since I've been on the podcast, I recently moved to Indianapolis, Indiana. And about a week after I moved over there, Eric gave me a call. Not to talk about business, not to talk about anything. He asked me, he's like, "Hey, I heard you moved to Indianapolis. How's it going? You like it there? Are you happy? How's the family?" And that's all we talked about. And that's one of the reasons why I was so excited when Espinosa wanted me to work for them, was because Eric's been there for me since day one.
Yeah.
Since the first time I met him, he, took me under his wing almost. And he really, always kept in touch with me, sent me happy birthdays. And he's really one of those special guys in this business that he really, truly cares about people. And I tell people this all the time. You get him in there for an event. I mean, he's one of the guys there, and he's a real dude.
Yeah.
And he just does it the right way. And he's nothing but respect. And he's a very humble guy. And he's the alpha dog, man. You can't get much better.
And when
than
we've had him
Eric
at events,
Espinosa.
he has, even though he's the owner and the name of the company, he has no problems whatsoever just talking to anyone that comes up and wants to talk to him.
Oh no, absolutely.
That's what the business is about.
he wants
He's also
that.
a good person. All right. So that being said, Eric, if you're still listening, thank you very much. I sent you a text. Thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. We'll get you back on, and when you're available, you're a big supporter. When we were at, during 2020 and we weren't able to get people in here, he's also been to the garage. He's been, again, like he said, I mean, what he says, he's one of those guys that when he says whatever you need, he means it. Fantastic. Keep your head on a swivel. Part 2. Let's get into it here. Tyler, you suggested this.
I did. I suggested this on Monday, and come to find out, I had some stuff happen to me the last couple of days where this really
Literally, you should keep your head on a swivel.
literally, I should keep my head
No,
on a
I
swivel.
literally have to with this new dog.
Right, absolutely.
As I've
And
been cleaning up.
So this is
before the
something that I
podcast.
thought about because it's a this business it's an easy business to get very in the same routine every day kind of thing where
Yeah.
everything it's just like clockwork, right?
Yeah,
And you have
yeah.
to keep and you'll get burnt out doing that, if you just keep doing it and not changing anything. So you always have to look to adapt, and you always have to look to figure out whether it's new ways to approaching people, what you have in stock to
Mhm,
sell and
mhm.
how do you approach that, or just finding new accounts and finding the new places to stop at and spread the Espinosa love practically, right?
Yeah.
And so this is I thought this was a topic that really translated into real life stuff as well. Like,
Yeah.
so yesterday I'm driving back from Wisconsin over here to be on the podcast, and
Thank you again.
no problem. Shit, man, I love this. And anyone that gives me a mic, I'm all for it, man.
Oh, Lord.
And
Cut it.
cut them off. And so I started out the day yesterday. I started the day in Green Bay, Wisconsin, sitting on the Fox River.
No one likes the Packers, by the way.
And I like Aaron Rodgers. I support Rodgers. But anyways, I'm sitting on the river. It's a beautiful morning. I got my Bang energy drink. Shout out to Bang energy drinks. You
Are
can
they
sponsor.
listening?
I hope so.
Sponsor you or the podcast?
Either one. I think that would work out for both of us.
Podcast.
And I had a crema in the morning, which we're about to light up next. And I was just taking in like the view of the city and the water. The sun was coming up. The sun was on the water. It was gorgeous. I took a little video and I said, can't complain about life. Right. And everything was just like even still to this today, after what happened yesterday, I'm lucky guy to be doing what I'm doing right now at the age I'm at. And I'm really blessed to work for a great company. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
But so later that day, I'm driving in Illinois and I'm at a red light and I literally get rear-ended by another car out of nowhere. And I pull over to the side to look to see what happened. And the guy absolutely crunched the trunk of my car. My back bumper was almost off completely. And I go to look around and the guy's gone.
Hit and run.
Yep. Hit and run. Classic hit and run. And the things I was going through my head, like, I'm just like, really, this shitbag just left. And I'm just like, all right. And so I'm just taking everything in. I call the
show, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, would that be something? Be like, oh, that's the guy I hit. So
If you hit, where was it?
Waukegan, Illinois.
If you were in Waukegan, Illinois, and you had an accident, you rear-ended someone, the police are looking for you.
And they will find you.
No, we're not doing the
We're
taking thing.
not doing the
thing.
taking
I don't think. I
thing.
mean,
Come on, Sean.
you can't say that.
Not anymore.
Good thing he
Hey.
wasn't on a hot mic.
So we so I call the police and they are like, hey, we're really busy right now. Can you just drive over to the police station? We know where you are. We're right around the corner. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I filled out a police report and everything. And my day just went like shitty that day. But you know what I did? I got back in my car. They gave me some zip ties to tie my truck down because it wouldn't close. That didn't
I
work
wish I
at
would've
all
seen that video.
because that was just before I even got it like actually
Your phone
in.
snaps.
Two of them snapped.
Chats.
So I was down to one. And I'm like, this has to work. So I finally got it. It was good enough. So I started driving back. That snaps like right when I get into downtown Chicago, of course.
Right.
And so I ended up pulling off. We could buy some bungee cords and stuff like that. But anyways, as I digress, when I got back in the car, I thought about how pissed I was. And I'm like, all right, what's going to make me calm down and just like sit back, take it in and just like, say, all right, this happened, but let's move on. Let's get back home. I got to be in Columbus the next day. Let's figure out how we're going to make this work. So I ended up calling my mother, oddly enough. That was my first call. Yeah. And, talked to her a little bit. And I called my dad and I talked to him. My sister ended up calling me because she's like, oh, mom told me what happened and everything.
told me, yeah.
And I'm like, all right. Yeah, it happened, whatever. And then I throw the Goodfellas soundtrack on. It's one of my favorite movie soundtracks of all time.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
And it made me this might be jacked up that I put this in perspective, but then I'm like, you know what? I could have been like Joe Pesci and got popped in the back of the head, not seeing it coming.
So you think this was a hit attempt?
No, not at all. But that could have been me. But instead, I got in a little fender bender. All right, life moves on, right? Shit happens.
It could have been worse.
It could have been worse.
Okay, there we are.
That's the point I was getting
Now
at.
we're here.
So how that ties into keeping your head on a swivel. Make sure you look at stoplights and make sure no one's flying behind you.
Well, okay, let's stay with this topic. What would you have done differently if you were looking in your rearview mirror? Was there anywhere to go?
I probably could have pulled over to the right hand lane, possibly.
Maybe.
If I was fast enough. I don't know. But
but things can come from directions that you're not expecting. Is I think where you were coming from.
Yes,
with
exactly.
The metaphor. You suggested this before it happened. Was there a reason that you suggested this topic before it happened? Or
Because
was
I
it
just
you think it's a good conversation.
I just think it's a great conversation and
okay.
it ties into everyday life. And that happened the day after I brought up the topic to Steve over here. So I mean, I just thought it was very ironic that stuff happened to me, and we're sitting here talking about it.
Yeah. So I looked at it when you suggested that. I think it's a great topic because you're right. It can kind of relate to a lot of different aspects of life. And there's two sides of it. I think that you have to, again, as we always talk about on this show, is that you have to have a balance, right? So sometimes when you keep your head on a swivel, that is equated to you're always looking for the next best thing. You're always looking at, outside things affecting your path, your direction. And I think the other side of the balance, if you will, would be staying focused, which is a big thing for me, is the focus thing.
Right.
But it's like, you got to keep your path, you got to keep going, but keeping your head on a swivel can be a balanced aspect. And I'll throw this out to the table, to the conversation. Ian's out there. Ian Anderson, he's saying that this was not what he was expecting when we first got into it, but now he's offering this, and I'll bring it up on the screen as well. Again, if you're listening, throw your comments up there. If you're listening on the audio and you're available on Wednesday nights, tune in for part one, or normally, what time is it right now? So around like 9 o'clock, we usually get into, 8:30, 9 o'clock, we get into part two. But you have to have the balance, because if you're just focused and you're just on this beeline of where you're going, you do miss some of the things that are happening around you. You're missing some of those aspects that, if you're not constantly on a swivel of looking at, we did a podcast episode, which I loved, which was about like a business aspect or a business idea, which was the SWOT analysis, right? So your strengths, weaknesses were internal. Mm-hmm. And then you had what are you smiling at?
Literally, you are stealing everything that I wrote down ahead of time.
Well, I haven't written anything down. I'm just talking. So like my point is that,
you didn't need to prepare.
Yeah, strengths and weaknesses are internal, and opportunities and threats would be outside. And that's one of those things, is that when I look at this, is that you do want to keep your head on a swivel, but not to a fault, because there are times where, so there's something in personal relationships or in jobs, right?
Right.
Where you're happy with your job, you're always looking for the next best option, right? You're keeping your resume open. Sales is a big thing. You're in sales, Tyler.
Yeah.
And I when I was in my previous life, I hired salespeople when I was in the moving and storage industry, and I had a handful of people that was like 2 years on a resume was, this, and then it's like 2 years on a resume was this, and 2 years, and they were always looking for the next best thing.
Right.
Head on a swivel, looking for the next best thing. And you also know these people that are in like good relationships, and they're just constantly looking around, and like, it's that rubbernecking thing. You see a hot girl walk by or whatever, and like all of a sudden you turn your head and you're looking, and you get distracted.
Right.
And that's the point with jobs, relationships, whatever it might be, health or real estate, whatever it is in life. If you're constantly looking for the next best thing and your head's on a swivel, looking for that opportunity, you miss that focus side of it, of what you have. And if you're constantly getting into the point of just focusing on just this one line of thought, you may miss out on things that can complement, or the people that are in your life, whether it be business, relationships, whatever,
right,
that all of a sudden your priorities are just your priorities, and they really get honed down in that you might think is a good thing, but you're not taking into consideration of, again, on a swivel is I look at it as, here's a metaphor for you, is that when you're looking through like a scope, you know what I mean? You're looking at a horizon, you're looking at, I think, I don't know, it's stupid, but like a submarine, right? Before sonar.
Yeah.
You get up there on the scope and you look to the right, you look to the left, you broaden your scope,
right,
as opposed to just looking here. So head on a swivel, literally a swivel.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing, is that the technology obviously brought in the fact that you can look 360, but you're still on this path.
Right.
So I look at that. That's what I want to throw out here, is that's how I took it. It was keep your head on a swivel. It can go to the negative where you're always on a swivel and you lose your path.
Right.
So you're no longer going straight. You're just constantly looking for the next best thing. Or you're doing the other side of it, is that you're not keeping your head on a swivel, of you're not looking around you. You're not looking for the options.
You have the tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And Brian Joyce in the
Right,
shop,
yeah.
he brought that up as opposed to tunnel vision. If you're just looking right straight ahead at whatever you're doing, you might miss something that's coming up, or an option that could actually strengthen what you're doing, or it might educate you on another option that might actually take you to a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, or complete 360. You might actually have to turn around and do something different.
Right. Look at my situation. Like, I was in the Air Force a year ago today, and I was a cop in the Air Force. I got out in August, and I did like a 360 because I saw the vision that I had, and I was, I'm like, I want to be in the cigar business. I want to be in the cigar business, and I want to be in that business for the rest of my life. So I ended up taking that, I did my due diligence. I got my name out there. I hung around cigar places and the whole area for the most part. And I kind of built a reputation for myself that, made it, able for someone else to take interest.
Absolutely.
So I did a complete 360 and, career wise. And then, I can't complain right now. Even after yesterday, I still I love what I do. I love life. I'm going to move on. It's not the end of the world. Stuff happens and you press on.
Okay. Nate, what notes did I not take from you?
Well, one of the I was thinking of two examples. One is kind of when you're driving, and this is something that I learned when I took driver's ed many years ago.
Are you trying to give me driver's ed right now?
No.
Yes.
Sound like my mother right now.
No.
Take some notes.
Has nothing to do with what you did.
Remember this down.
But no, my driver's ed instructor had always talked about, every so often you need to keep checking all your mirrors.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Left,
you need to know
center.
what's behind you and coming up, but you also need to look back at the road ahead of you, so that way what's in front. So that way you just don't plow into Tyler's car that's in front of you.
Very specific, but yeah.
But no, you need, if traffic's coming up on you or you're coming up on a pack of traffic, if you don't want to get boxed in, you got to be able to know, where's it safe to get over? When's it safe? Do you need to get over to the right? Do you need to get over to the left? Because sometimes, and I've had this happen on the freeway before, where all of a sudden you'll have one jackass just completely stop in the middle of the freeway because they're about ready to miss their exit. So they're waiting on all the traffic to clear.
Right.
And I come up on this guy doing 60 miles an hour and almost plow into him. But because I'd constantly been checking, I knew there was no one to my right.
Right.
So my right was the escape. And that's how I was able to avoid a bad situation and get around it. Scared the shit out of me. I had to actually, once I got to work, I had to sit in my car for a little while and get my heart rate back down to double digits.
That's a thrilling thing to go through. Not thrilling as in a good way, but
yeah, when you're going down the freeway and all of a sudden your car is almost perpendicular to the road,
exuberating.
You could go with that. But I was also,
exhilarating.
I was also thinking
anxiety.
Instead of necessarily always keeping your head on a swivel, you have to use your peripheral.
Okay.
Because with your peripheral, like in Groundhog Day, side of your eye, you're checking what's next to you, but you can still see what's in front of you. I can look and I can see the two of you, but I can also still see Dan, and I can also still see Sean in the garage. Now Sean has absolutely no peripheral vision whatsoever. So, but I also
steal from Sean's notes.
But also relate to it back when I played basketball. I was always taught when you were on defense, it was called ball
Hands
you
up.
man. Ball you man.
Oh.
You have to be wherever you are. You have to be able to see where the ball is, but you also can't lose track of where
Your man is.
the person you're guarding is.
Right.
Because if all you're focusing is on where the basketball is, the guy could be making a cut behind you or in front of you, and by the time you react, you're too late. He's already passed you, and he's got an easy layup.
That's that zone defense right there that Syracuse runs, man.
Woo.
Man, I'm
Like,
sorry. I've been watching March Madness in Indianapolis like the last 3 weeks. Cut me some slack.
But like the point is, whatever it is, like Steve brought up the whole job thing. Like if you're in a job and you're looking for a different job, you can't neglect the one you have, because the one you have is what's paying the bills.
Right.
So don't give up on it, looking for something else. Like you still have to take care of the now.
Sure.
Instead of always looking to the future or always looking at the past, you still have to focus on the now.
So before Sean says something, no, go ahead. Actually, I'm going to try to hold on to this thought. I'm going to listen to you, but I also want to chime in next.
Okay.
Probably have to chime in on what you have to say, but then I'm going to lose the thought.
Okay.
Disclaimer, I'm going to lose the thought.
Write it down.
I don't have anything.
All right.
Here, you write it down in your notes. I'm going to pick it up.
All right.
No, okay.
So going off what Nate said, me having no peripheral vision, I've had that for over 20 years now. Due to having a brain tumor, it was on my optic nerves and it was damaged during the surgery. But I literally 24/7 have my head in a swivel. Even when I'm at home and I walk out the bathroom to look, I got to look right and left in the hallway.
Literally have to swivel.
Yeah. And it's like if I'm at Lowe's or in an aisle or whatever, if I come out, it's people like look at me like, what are you doing? Like I literally have to do that. So that's taught me other things in life. Just always be prepared for the something that may or may not happen, or prepare for the unprepared, is that what you say?
Always be prepared as Boy Scouts.
Right. Okay.
Cub Scouts.
Okay. Didn't do that, but
Both. Cub Scouts are going into
but
it. I mean.
That's
ABC. Always be closing.
Whether I'm driving, I've got bubble mirrors. I've got a special mirror to look behind me to check all my blind spots. And when I turn lanes, and if I change lanes, I am literally doing this, back, forth, left, right. I mean, I'm doing it just to be sure.
Yeah.
So I'm more defensive in life because of that. So anyway, to me, it sucks I don't have it. It also makes me more aware.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the driving, do you want my notepad?
No, I had it in my head.
So there's a lot of people that when they need to change lanes, they do kind of like what you were just talking about, Sean. Like they completely turn their head to look at the lane next to them, and now they can't see what's in front of them. And one of the things my dad taught me from his almost 30 years driving for UPS was, instead of completely turning your head, like if you have to, lean forward and look and keep looking in the mirror, because then you're not having to crank your head all the way around. Lean forward and look in your side mirror, because then out of your peripheral, obviously not you, but in your peripheral, you're still seeing what's going on in front of you, because sometimes what's in front of you might be where the problem is, not what's next to you.
Is that a metaphor?
It can be.
I feel like we're talking
if you want it to be.
Hey, let me introduce this. Let's go down this rabbit hole. So with this last year being a prime example of this, right? Who had tunnel vision on what their beliefs were? A lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Who didn't have their head on a swivel? A lot of people.
A lot of people.
Who didn't educate themselves on the other side of whatever they believed, or they tried to follow other news sources, or they tried to get other, they got all their information from one source. And even when that source changed, they were like, no, I'm still listening to this part of it. You didn't keep your head on a swivel to the point like you're trying to educate yourself, broaden your scope. I keep looking back at this whole topic as keep your head on a swivel is broadening your scope. So if you're gonna subscribe to one newsletter, that's it. You're gonna have people that are like-minded around you at all times. That's your circle. Yes, you are going to grow stronger and stronger and stronger in that belief. What you won't have is outside information. You got to keep your head on a swivel. I saw that a lot this last year. Now, this is more not the literal that we're talking about driving. It's not about like all that. It's about how you gather information, how you make your opinions, how you surround yourself with people.
Right.
I saw that. I've seen it my whole life about minor things, big things, all that stuff. But I will say, as we go through this, we're already in April of this year, right?
Right.
And there's still this stigma, I think, that the people are so divided, And part of that reason is that there's no intake from outside your lane. So let's bring in that driving thing, right? So if you only drive, if the speed limit is 65, you're only going to drive 65, maybe 66, right? And you look at all these other people in the fast lane, you're like, nope, idiot, 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 idiot. You know, going too fast, they're gonna get pulled over. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do like whatever it is. It's almost like you negate opinions that aren't like-minded because you don't actually broaden your scope to educate yourself, to either strengthen your opinion or to broaden your opinion and also your education on very important matters.
Right.
When you said keep your head on a swivel, that was something that I thought about, is that I know a lot of people, myself included, that I brought it up on the podcast before, is that I have not looked at Twitter in a long time because it did not help anything in 2020 for me.
No.
But I will say is that there are people that follow certain news sources. They follow certain accounts, social media accounts, and it's all very pointed. It's very, very narrow-minded.
You can definitely tell there's a narrative being.
Well, there's a narrative, whether it's intentional or not, whether it's wrong or not, whatever. But I'm saying is that you don't actually, like, I did like in 2020, I followed the extremes of the news sources where it was, you know, stereotypical, right? So Fox News and CNN.
Right.
I still get CNN alerts, you know what I mean? And I being ignorant, even in my 30s at that point, I didn't realize how one-sided some of these news sources were. I just thought they were the news. That's how ignorant I was. And I learned a lot in the last few years, is
Right.
that, and in this last year especially, that it really was pointed. It was very narrow. It was not bringing in anything outside of it. It all had, like you say, narrative, and it's not necessarily the negative side of that, but it's like very like-minded. You're not on a swivel. You're not trying to look at the left, look at the right, and that's very literal in politics and everything else. But we're still in that, is that you have this like-minded thing and you surround yourself with very like-minded people, as opposed to having a conversation, asking questions and saying, why do you think that way? What are your sources?
Right.
Because your head's not on a swivel, because it's so much easier just to keep down your path, because it's easy. It's very, very, and when I say simple-minded, it's not like a negative, it's not an insult, but it's very simple to just drive down that fast lane,
Right.
or drive down the slow lane, whatever it might be. But you don't ever change lanes. You don't even look around you. You just got 10 and 2. I'm going to keep driving straight, and I'm going to get to my destination. Whether or not that destination is right or not, or there's a faster way or a safer way or whatever it might be. But I look at it as that is something that really has affected a lot of people, that they don't, the tunnel vision, as you mentioned, Tyler, that, you know, Brian said earlier today, that tunnel vision has been very, very dangerous. Very dangerous, because everyone's tunnel is a little bit different.
Right. No, I completely agree.
But then again, the opposite of tunnel vision can be a problem as well. If you're focused on everything else but
yourself.
but what you're doing and what's
like
going
what you
on.
like what you can control. Like there's like people, I've preached to people all the time. People get worked up about certain things and stuff like that. And I'm like, literally, how does that affect your day to day?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, if something happens, you're still gonna move on. That's it's like what I was saying about getting in the car accident. After that, I found out that guy was gone when I did the police report, and then after that, I took a deep breath and I was just like, all right, I'm alive, so keep pressing forward. You know, this ain't gonna stop me. You know, it's gonna take a lot more. It's gonna end up being like you'd have to Joe Pesci me, and like
Going back to that, man. Is there someone after you?
No. But I'm just saying, it's like that's what you'll have to do to like
Because I
bring me down.
Now you're in my house.
Right? No.
There's
I don't think so. I think it's that.
You
I think
don't
that.
think so.
I think that got covered up a couple of years ago. But it's just, you know, stuff happens in life and you do what you can with it. But at the end of the day, you have to just move on, and you have to, you know, look for tomorrow. I woke up, you know, today saying today's going to be a great day, just like I did yesterday. And even though yesterday didn't end the way I thought it was going to end,
Lie to yourself again.
I lied to myself
I was
again.
kidding.
But you know what? Today, I got no beef with today.
Not bad. You
Right.
said it's hot.
I said it's hot. Okay, it's a little.
Nah.
It's muggy. Okay, maybe not hot. It might be a little muggy out. Is it supposed to rain soon?
Yes,
Probably.
tomorrow.
I can feel it in my back.
All right, old man.
So Ian out there had made a comment that Steve, you asked him to kind of broaden on, and I think I know what he means.
Oh, look, Nate Hill's watching.
He said echo chambers have been the ruin of one of the great aspects of American life.
What do you think he means by that?
I'm speaking to me, Ian. Feel free to comment if I'm wrong. So one of the things that makes America great is you have people from so many different backgrounds that have so many different beliefs and so many different opinions. So you have the ability to listen to and hear all these other ideas and beliefs that people have. When I think what he's talking about when he says echo chambers is what you were alluding to with like social media. Some people focus either, solely on the left, solely on the right, and that's all they hear. They only surround themselves with people that they agree with, and that just becomes one echo chamber because you're hearing the same thing over and over.
Surround yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah, you're not hearing different opinions, different beliefs. All you're hearing is the exact same thing. It's like going into a cave. If you go into a cave and you shout out something, you're going to hear it reverberate back to you. But if there are other people all talking, you can hear multiple conversations. You can hear other people sharing what they believe and how they feel.
Yeah, I think so. And let me pull up his comment here. Just a second here, because I think you're kind of spot on here. He says it's destroy the ability to have conversations with people and have completely opposite viewpoints and still stay in a place of respect and allow them to carry those beliefs without resorting to attacks and canceling.
I think that's a worldwide issue, though.
It is.
I think that
Jeff Dunn says you are no longer allowed to have an opinion that differs from groupthink. Go ahead, and I'll comment on that. Go ahead, Tyler.
I mean, what Jeff said. I mean, you have every right to have that ability to do that, but it's just that there's just some people that just don't want to hear it, and they have every right not to want to hear it. But at the same time, it's still healthy to take in those different thoughts, and it's still healthy to have those very appropriate conversations with a lot of people.
Well, how often do we see that the people that are so narrow-minded and narrow-focused?
Now we're getting narrow-minded. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
They tend to be the loudest ones.
Yeah, and
the people that are balanced and take in and hear things. I mean, Steve, I know we've talked about this personally off the podcast quite a bit over the last year.
Not sure where we're going with this, but
but no, like you always hear, the extremists on either side. They're the ones always shouting. They're the ones always on social media pushing their beliefs or on TV pushing what they think. The people that are in the middle ground that are taking it all in and hearing from both sides, kind of like the active listening episode we did a while back, they're hearing what everyone else is having to say, and they're not trying to respond to it. They're just listening and taking it in and making up their own mind, but not necessarily trying to shout out what their mind is.
Yeah, and that was one of the things. It was having a conversation versus talking at. It was one of the comments I made on previous podcasts, is that there are times where, when you're talking about important issues, I'm of the opinion that you really should ask questions. You should have a genuine conversation about it. It's tough to take emotion out of it, so keep the emotion in there. But I will say, have an actual conversation, ask questions, try to learn about it. If you don't agree with it, that's fine. You're not always trying to win a conversation. It happens a lot because everyone wants to get their point across. That's natural. It's more natural these days. Again, with social media, we're talking about that a lot.
I mean, it's almost what we're doing here right now. We're almost trying to get our point across to a certain degree.
And my point right now is the opposite, in a sense. Is my point is that you should open yourself up.
Right.
Is listen to keep
but
your
this
head
is
on
healthy.
keep your head on a swivel.
Right. This is healthy conversation. Though.
Danny, what do you got in the audience here?
I was just going to say that echo chambers have always kind of existed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just now that we have social media and the internet and all this stuff, we have these giant chat rooms to echo our own thoughts. And instead of everything being confined to our families or just who we know in our neighborhoods, and those were the echo chambers back then. They still are. It's just now we have echo canyons, and that we can talk with everybody who's like-minded on the internet with us.
The chamber's just gotten bigger.
Right.
Here's a literal example that I had just a couple days ago. I will say this, that we are now in the day and age, you talk about social media, but it has translated to real life. So I was on my walk, smoking a cigar. I'm on Alum Creek Trail here. And it was before I got Tony, so it was just
How
me.
far away is that from here?
It's like just a couple streets that way.
Might have to do that walk in the morning.
Yeah, if you're crashing on the couch, yeah, for sure. You can join Tony and I. So, but no, here I am, and I'm walking, I'm smoking a cigar. There's no rules about smoking or anything like that on the trails, public place, right? But
Beautiful thing.
yeah, and it was a beautiful morning. It's Sunday, so there's more people out, right? I do this every day mostly, and most of the time there's no one there during the week, you know, except for the same people and whatever. Like, I know a few people on the trails now, but I had this lady on a recumbent bike that as she's passing me, I hear her coming. And I usually like just step to the side all the way to the side of the trail, and I'm just puffing on a cigar. And I usually, when I hear someone, I don't take a puff, right, out of respect for people that don't care for it. This lady, who let me try to keep this respectful as best I can.
Just go at it.
But as she's going by, she's like, you know, I really wish you could find another place to smoke a cigar other than our trails. And I said, my just immediate retort was, well, too bad I'm here every day. You know, I'm out here every day, something like that. You know, I didn't do anything. As I thought about it, as she strolls away, you know, on her recumbent bike, and I look over on my left and I'm like, well, clearly, I mean, good for you, you're out here. That's fine. You know what I mean? You probably didn't do anything over the winter. You know, whatever, you're back out. That's cool. I've been out here in the cold and everything else, doing my walks and doing my reflection, doing everything like that. My 15 seconds of you smelling my cigar as you're passing me, and you give your Yelp review where you're giving this, like, you know, you want to talk to a manager about this. My 15 seconds of you smelling my cigar, I'm out not affecting anyone other than the fact that it offends your nostrils and your nasal cavity. Now I got to deal with your
15 seconds is a stretch.
I got to deal with your opinion that you gave to an absolute stranger. You've never met me before. You don't know who I am. You don't know what I'm about. And you just rattle off this bullshit comment as you stroll by. It's the same goddamn shit of doing a Yelp review or a Google review on something that you just throw it out there passively. You feel better about yourself. And what I want to say, if I see her another time, I'm not going to go after her, but I want to say, can you stop for a second and realize that you're the news story? You run your fucking mouth to a complete stranger about something that doesn't really hurt you, but you got to run your opinion out there and make you feel better about yourself. Not having your head on a swivel, realizing that you're talking to a complete stranger that you don't know if I have a gun. You don't know if I'm like pissed off that day. You don't know anything about me, but you got to just say your little piece as you fucking stroll by.
Right.
Like that's bullshit. That's the society we're in right now.
Yeah.
We
And
had
it
that
really,
episode.
really bothers me.
We had that episode. What the fuck is your problem? All based on a Yelp review.
Yeah.
We talked about that last year.
My point is that you're so pointed in your fucking viewpoint about smoking
Right.
that you have to rattle it off to a complete stranger. And I'm days later, you might still be affected by this. Chances are she hasn't thought about me at all. I've
Right.
thought about the fact that you ran your mouth to a complete stranger, and I thank God it was me and not some asshole that was going to like literally, you know, throw a stick in your spokes
Right. Or
and
like
just like
something
run
that-
after you, be
something
like,
that
you know
could
what,
actually
fuck you,
hurt her.
lady, you know, like all that stuff, because you don't know. I think you really need to just, if you don't, there was a time before 2020 that if you had nothing nice to say, you don't say anything at all. And I think, again, there's a balance there. There's a venue. There's a forum. There's something that you can actually give your opinion to constructively. But you run your mouth to a complete stranger, you do have to deal with consequences. You cannot be a victim at that point because you were the aggressor. She was the aggressor in that
Right. You were
meeting.
minding your own business, enjoying
Absolutely,
your walk.
I stepped aside, did all that stuff, but I'm still at that point where it's like that is a problem.
Yeah.
It really, really. frustrates me that people feel so entitled to their opinion that they just should rattle it off. But as soon as I say something back to her, because of the dynamics, because of the demographics, now all of a sudden I would be the asshole because I said something aggressive to her.
Right.
And that's not okay. That's I think that's my point is don't just talk at people. Maybe that's a stretch, but that was something that I just think that keeping your head on a swivel instead of that tunnel vision. She had tunnel vision. She wanted the paths to herself that day.
Right.
Or at the very least, like-minded people.
Right.
I was not a like-minded people because I was smoking a cigar. I was clearly, and this is not like a boast to me, but I was out there every day. I take care of myself. I'm smoking a cigar, but because she disagrees with it, she is this unfortunately upset middle-aged lady.
It's almost like a
doing her thing.
self-righteousness.
It's entitlement.
Yeah.
Daniel says, I'm gonna call you out. People are too comfortable with not getting punched in the face.
Amen to
Hey,
that.
Mike Tyson said it
Ian
best.
says, see, I'd say back, I wish you could ride a real fucking bike on the trail like a real human being. No, I'm happy that she's out there. But
Hey,
I'm saying
it's
you
great
gotta
she's
share.
being physically active.
I think you got to share these things and realize that not everyone is as like-minded as you, and that's where you really need to get out of your tunnel vision. And if I was on a recumbent bike, not smoking a cigar, maybe overweight, I would have been more in good company with her. And I don't think that's okay. I think that's something that I was having. This is a public place,
Right.
so that's that. I guess that's my point, and it is a little bit personal because I'm tired of people actually spouting their mouth out or off about things that they think is so much their viewpoint. She could have slowed down. She could have said, "Hey, I'm out here on Saturdays and Sundays, whatever days she's out there. It bothers me that you're smoking cigars. It really affects my lungs. I'm allergic and all that stuff. What time are you out here? We have a conversation. Do you mind? I'd rather not pass you because it really actually affects my bike ride. Like, absolutely. What time are you out here?
Because then
I'm out here at 10:30 on Saturdays and Sundays. You know what? I'll do my best not to be out here. I'm sorry if I'm out here at the same time. I'll try to make sure to keep an eye out for you. I saw a lot of other bikers out here. I saw other people out here. When I was going on the trail, I think it was the same day, and they were coming up the connection where I get into the trail, and they were circling around. They weren't coming into the neighborhood. They were just doing that path and then coming back around, and they circled around right behind me. And I said, I tell you what, you guys go ahead. I'm gonna stop for a second. You probably don't want to smell my cigar the entire time if I'm ahead of you.
Right.
They're like, oh, I appreciate that. I saw them coming back the other way, and they just said, hey, have a great day. I said, yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Because that's how people should be.
Right.
There's a level of having values, of appreciating people, and that they're not always like-minded. This is something so trivial to me. Some people, it's very important about the smoking or whatever it might be, but it's like whatever their trigger point, their hot button is, they just spew their mouth, and that's okay. You can say whatever you want, absolutely. But if I would have said something derogatory, I would have said something mean. All I said was, well, too bad I'm out here every day. And she just kept rolling by.
I mean, it's just a level. There's a level
to actually
of
talk to her and be like, miss, stop for a second. Ma'am, stop for a second. I'll put my cigar down. I won't smoke. Let's talk.
Right.
And she probably would just blew right by because that's where she's at. She's like, no, I just told my piece. I just left my Yelp review on you as a person. And I'm going to leave my next door app, whatever thing. Like, oh, there's this smoker out there. I hope she does because I want to respond back and be like, hey, here's my email. Here's my phone number. Like, let's talk. And I apologize that I offended you. You actually offended me as well. You ruined my walk. I ruined your bike ride. Let's figure this out. That's how can we coexist?
Let's light up another and figure it out together.
you had to throw that in there, didn't you? You just
Let's have her
had
on the podcast.
Absolutely.
No, but it narrows down to just being a good human being.
Yeah.
And it's just, respecting other people. And it's almost a lost value that people have, just like they got that tunnel vision that their way is the right way and everybody else is wrong. And that's not how it should be. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Everybody can think and believe what they are, but not everybody wants to hear your criticism.
Right.
Not everybody has to hear your criticism. That's the thing. Everybody thinks my voice needs to be heard. This is an issue. Okay.
Start your own podcast.
There are very, very good avenues to take in doing that.
Yeah.
But don't be mad when you have 20 other people that are against it, because that's life.
Yeah.
Not everybody. If we were all the same person, it would be a weird world that I don't know if I'd be comfortable in.
Are you comfortable now?
I
I ain't
remember
too shabby. I'm not too shabby right now.
Okay.
But
I remember the first cigar shop I worked at. There was a lady that came in. First, as soon as she walks in, she starts complaining about the smoke in a cigar shop. And granted, it was a small shop, but still. And she was there to buy cigars for her boss. But multiple times she made mention of the smoke and how she didn't like the smoke. And I'm like, it's like, why are you here then? Like, if you want to get cigars for your boss, shop online. Like, don't come into a cigar shop and complain about the cigar smoke. Like,
was that the one on the south side?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that one. Like, and if you don't like it, okay, you're there to buy cigars. Just come in, tell us what you need, and out the door you go. You don't have to sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys are smoking in here." What do you think's going on in here? We're not just sitting here playing dominoes.
Sorry, I'm messing with the mouse here.
I just felt a rubbing. Or I heard a rubbing.
Don't say that.
I heard a rubbing.
That's that's not any better. It's not any better.
Rubbing against the no, it's not helping. It's not helping. It's not helping the situation right now. What do you think about the crema, Steve?
I like Ian's story. He's got a bunch of shit going on with the Hooters example, which I love.
Is our friend Shaw still here?
No, he's
Mr. Pakistan.
hopefully he went to work.
Hey, good job, Shaw. It's
Crema,
nice having you, friend. My friend.
the Espinosa Crema is, you're absolutely right. It stands up to everything. It still tastes like a crema. It's absolutely fantastic. This is a great cigar. Nice construction. I do love this cigar. Not a mild one.
Yeah, I think
Mild to
this.
medium.
I think this is one that people who have not smoked the crema, it'll be deceptive to them.
Right. It's not your
be-
typical Connecticut shade.
Yeah, because they'll look at this cigar, and it goes back to that old mindset from years and years ago that is still persistent today. If it's got a light wrapper, they think it's going to be a mild cigar. If it's got a dark wrapper, they think it's going to be a strong cigar, and that's not always the case. And so this crema, sometimes people might come into the shop and they're looking for something more that mild medium or medium body type of smoke, but they want something that's smooth. And this is a cigar I might recommend to them. And like, I don't know, that looks kind of light. I'm like, it looks it, but you're just seeing that outside wrapper. You're not seeing
Right. You're not getting the whole picture.
You're not seeing everything that
Can't judge
makes
a book
up.
by its cover.
It's
Yeah.
that tunnel vision.
Yeah.
It's that tunnel vision.
You don't
of
see
having,
you don't see what makes up the entire product
right.
until you actually smoke it.
How would you use that, Nate, as a metaphor for people? And Jeff Dunn says Eric's interviewing Shaw right now for your job.
Hey,
Well,
Shaw.
I mean,
Back off, pal.
well, I mean, we've seen it in the cigar industry and
No,
retail.
no. People.
I know. I'm
Broaden
talking.
the scope.
I mean, okay, I'll broaden it to the cigar shop.
Beyond, no, not cigar shop. Beyond it.
Just because someone looks a certain way,
Okay.
dresses a certain way, don't think for a second you have that person figured out.
There you go.
If someone comes in and they're wearing sweats and a t-shirt, that doesn't mean they're looking to buy the cheapest cigar in there.
Right.
They may be in there looking for
The Davidoff Millennium.
Take it out of the cigar shop.
well,
Broaden your horizons here, Nate.
okay, take it out. Just because someone is a certain gender or a certain skin color,
Wow.
don't
That's
think
further
for,
than I thought it was going to go. Keep going.
don't assume that you know what their beliefs are.
I love it. No,
Don't
That
Right,
was-
yeah. No.
that was a 0 to 60 right there.
That
I love
was,
it.
that was
Yeah.
you went right for it, my friend.
Keep it out of the cigar shop. Let me talk to you about this.
Right.
Perfect. I love it.
Well,
Get it out of the cigar shop.
No, people will look at this cigar and be like, okay, it's a Connecticut shade. It's got to be mild, right? And then I try to explain to them, I'm like, okay, if you're, if you like that mild, just smooth, a little bit complexity, this isn't that cigar.
Yeah.
This cigar has that Nicaraguan tobacco in it that gives it that little bit of oomph to it, and it makes it lean more mild to medium. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, listen, Eric Espinosa and Hector Alfonso do not smoke Connecticut shades.
Right.
They do not. I mean, you see our portfolio. I mean, our portfolio is 90%, medium plus the full body, for crying out loud. So we made a Connecticut for those guys that like our stuff, but it's something that we can smoke as well. So this is one of those where, we make cigars with flavor, and that's what this Nicaraguan tobacco we used in it gives it.
Mhm.
You get that Nicaraguan like spice a little bit. You get that thick, heavy, dense smoke. And that was the whole reason why I wanted to smoke this second after Laranja Escuro. Because like I said,
soft cigar.
it's very, and it's just, but it always hits and it always tastes the same. I smoke, this is probably my 8th cigar today.
Mm-hmm.
And this tastes like the same thing as if I smoked it the first time. Because that's just how it is. It's got that body. It has that richness to it. But at the same time, it still has that Connecticut shade wrapper, so that balances out and smooths it out. And it makes it very approachable. It's a cigar for anybody. If you like full-bodied cigars and you want something nice in the morning with coffee, this is perfect for you. If you're a mild guy, it might be a little bit of an uptick versus like your typical Macanudo, maybe. Shout out to Laurel. But it might be a little bit of an uptick. So this might be something you smoke after you smoke a Macanudo Hyde Park or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things that was the whole point of me wanting us to smoke this second, is because it does hold its own, and it's more than just a Connecticut shade. And it's really a special cigar that we are very proud of.
One of the things I love about this cigar, and there's only a couple other cigars that I describe in this manner. One of the things I love about this is the smoke has this thick, creamy texture to the smoke.
Absolutely.
I mean, like comparing it to the Laranja Escuro, just the thickness of this smoke is more than Laranja, but it also has this creamy texture to it that I don't get from the Laranja Escuro.
Since we're on part 2, how would you actually relate that to people? Either of you? Nothing?
What would you, Steve? How would you?
I think when you have an opinion of something, or like you look at this, like you're talking about, I think there is something there with people, right? So, and again, whether it be politics, whether it be like, Nate, you went way further out there with like the way. No, I think it's
I didn't even
good.
get deep into it.
It was very great.
No, I'm saying you talked about like appearances, right? So that's one of those things, is that you actually have to. What do you have to do with a cigar? You look at it, you have your opinions, right? So how do you actually judge an honest opinion of a cigar? I'm going off of what you guys are diving back into the cigars. What do you got to do?
You cut it, you put fire to it, and you actually smoke it.
Right.
With people, you actually have a conversation, talk, and get to know the person.
There you go. Now we're back on track.
There we go. Bringing it full circle.
Trying to.
Yeah. Hey, that's your job, right?
It's self-proclaimed. I gave. Sure.
To a certain degree.
Thank you, patreon.com. All right, let's roll into the closing remarks here, because we could talk about this all night. So keeping your head on a swivel, I think it's a good topic point. I think this is something that we've talked about a bit, and we've obviously gone back into cigars. And the reason I do that, like Nate and Tyler, like it's not that like your points aren't valid on what we're talking about and everything like that, but to the viewers out there, the listeners out there, I think this is something that for those that aren't cigar smokers, that have never stepped foot into a cigar shop, these are examples of again, appearances. These are things that you guys are talking about with customers. This is how you interact with people. Sales is the same thing. Whether you're buying a cigar, you're buying anything else, customer comes in, they're wearing ratty jeans, they're all this stuff, and you have a high-end product, and you're like, wow, you can't afford it. That's a classic example, right? But that's also something that, as you guys get into your closing remarks here, is that based on appearance, based on politics, right? So based on where you live, based on how you vote, and if you give that opinion of what you're going to vote for, like we did in 2020, your opinion of COVID, your opinion of the masks, your opinion of where we're going with the vaccines and all that stuff. We don't have to talk about that specifically, But that is the polarized thing right now, is that if you give an opinion, that is the judging the book by its cover. You don't care about what the rest of their 99% of their day-to-day life is. You've already just written them off, or you're like, you're one of my people. So go off of that. Tyler, you start.
I prefer Nate does.
Okay, I'll do
He
that.
looks like he had something to say.
Well, because
I saw it in his
Steve,
eyes.
your segue to the closing remarks made me think of another story. So my wife and I
Story time.
my wife and I have so my wife is in the equestrian world, and she has a friend who is a multiple world champion in different equestrian events, we'll say. And he had gone to a car dealership, and he was talking to the sales associate about buying a truck. And he they were talking. He saw the truck that he wanted to get, had everything he wanted. And he's like, you know what? Give me a couple weeks. Let me get my money together, and I'll be back, and I'm going to buy that truck. So he shows up 2 weeks later. That sales associate was not there that day. So someone else was helping him out. Now, earlier in that day, he had gone out and ridden a few horses. He had picked stalls. So he's wearing jeans. He's covered in dirt, wearing a t-shirt. He's got, dirty boots on and everything, not the cleanest looking individual. And he goes there. He's like, yeah, I'm here to buy a truck. And the sales associate, who didn't know him, is like, I don't think we have anything in your, what you're looking for. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is the guy I talked to earlier. Like, that right there is the truck that I was going to get. He's like, yeah, I don't think that truck's going to work out for you. It makes me think of the movie Pretty Woman when she goes into the retailer. So literally, he walks out, goes to the dealership directly next door. They had the exact same truck, and he just pulled out a wad of cash and bought the truck in cash right then and there. And I'm sitting there thinking, it would have been so great if he just drove the truck back to the dealership he was just at, and like, you guys work off commission, right? I just bought that truck. Let me speak to your manager, by the way.
Right, absolutely.
I want to write a Yelp review.
Yelp probably did exist
Google,
when that happened, but
comment card.
But no, again, what did that sales rep do? He judged that person based on the way they look. He had no idea that guy was walking around with tens of thousands of dollars in cash on him.
Never a good idea, by the way.
Sometimes the quietest guy in the room is probably the most better off guy in the room.
Oh boy, we've seen that in the cigar shop industry.
No kidding.
I've seen that in a lot of industries as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the cigar
that's
shop,
everyday life, man.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, so closing remarks, is that where we're on right now?
That's where we're at.
Oh,
so it's like,
are we jumping to you now?
Yeah, we're jumping
go
back
ahead.
to
No, Nate, do you have more?
Do you have more?
Yeah, story time.
Story time.
That was the lead in for mine.
Oh,
okay.
But what I was also,
you may finish, sir.
I'm going off my notebook. All right.
Me too.
Um,
Somewhere around here.
I think it's up there on the shelf somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I call my brain.
One of the other things that popped in my head talking about this is the term situational awareness. Like, you can't be so dialed in to what's going on, directly in front of you, that you forget everything else.
Yeah.
But also, you can't be focused on so much on everything else that you forget there has to be a balance to it. Because if there's not a balance, one way or the other, you're going to pass something up. You're going to miss something. And you have no idea if it was a great opportunity. That, if you're looking for a job, if you have a job, but you're looking for another one, like, if you focus too much on getting a new one, you may not put the amount of effort that you need to in keeping the one you have, or performing well in the one you have.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, the place you're working, they may be looking at you for a promotion, internally, but you're just so focused elsewhere, you let that side just kind of lax, and you miss out on that opportunity. And maybe that outside job you don't get for whatever reason. Maybe they hire someone else, and now you have to go back to what you're doing, and you have to recenter, refocus. But opportunity may have passed you up, and now you have to wait for the next one. So now do you keep waiting for that next one internally, or do you continue to just focus on the outside? There has to be some balance, and there has to be some communication on both sides of that.
Yeah.
So there was a time in my current profession where I was looking somewhere else, but also let it be known with my current management, like, I want to keep, expanding with where I'm at. Like, I don't want to just up and leave. I'd rather stay internally. But I'm also going to keep an ear out for other opportunities that may be better.
Keep your
Because
head on a swivel.
another opportunity may come up that they're not able to provide for me. But but I can't just let what I'm doing go to waste.
Yep.
And Steve, you're a fitness guy. You don't just sit there and focus on one muscle group.
Okay.
For the whole time. Like, you don't just sit there, go to the gym every single day and work out your arms.
Even though it may look like it. I mean, come on. Come on. Who are we kidding here?
Don't I?
But no, like,
The man has to wear a double XL to fit those
What's your
pythons
point?
through
What's
there.
your point?
he wears a medium.
It's an XL, by the way.
But no, like,
Ogwen XL. But
one day you're working arms, another day you're working chest, another day you're working legs, another day you're doing cardio. But why do you sit there and you work out different muscle groups? Because working out different muscle groups makes the entire package better.
take that as a huge compliment. Tyler, before you're goddamn right. Tyler, go ahead. Jesus.
So closing remarks, it's as always, it's a
thank you, Nate.
Nate, you killed it, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to cheer Steve.
No, it's not.
I was cheering Steve, not you.
Cheers, 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 cheers. God damn it.
But
I feel
closing,
I feel like a douche right now.
that's what we're here for.
Gym, tanning, and laundry. GTL, baby.
Is that movie like Don John?
No, that's from Jersey Shore.
Do you know Don John though?
That was a good movie.
That was a very good movie.
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh God,
Yeah.
what a dime, right?
All right, go on.
Anyways, Scarlett, if you're watching,
She's
There you
not.
go.
If is she,
she might be.
she's not watching.
Maybe it's Shaw looking for work.
He's
She
going
needs
after
her
your
next
job.
movie after Black Widow. Come on.
All right. Closing remarks.
Closing remarks.
Let's
So at the end of
focus. Focus.
we need to focus here.
Yeah,
And on-
definitely right now.
Right, definitely right now.
He's
No,
focused
it's,
on the
um,
peripheral. He's not.
You're right. No,
Check Tony's cage here. Go ahead.
but I don't know. The whole thing is thank you for having me on.
It's
First
my
off,
pleasure.
thank you.
It's been everyone's pleasure.
And no, I think the main thing out of this was, just at the end of the day, everything that happens for a reason, and we're all human. Things happen, and it's all about how you adjust and how you give yourself that positive outlook on things, and just press on. Not every day is going to be perfect, but when you do have those good days, it's good to cherish them.
Yeah.
Like today, and you always got to remember them, and always look back at them and never forget them. It's life is unfortunately way too short, but make time of the good times, and the bad times you put them in the past and look towards the future or the present, and don't be narrow-minded.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good point. I mean, that's keeping your head on a swivel is again a balance of learning from your past experiences and having goals for your future, and then actually appreciating the present, because you can't just focus on any of those things. And I think a lot of times you're either focusing on the future or you're focusing on the past, and you forget about the present. There are times I think that, for me, and I'll try to say this as calmly as possible, because I do tend to get amped up about this stuff, is keeping your head on a swivel. Talk about some of the things we talked about tonight. There are some times, and I don't know about you guys, but in the last now 12 months, There were some times where people were spouting their mouths off about what they thought was right, that they should have shut their goddamn mouth. And they should have just listened. They should have taken more information. They should have educated themselves. Keep your head on a swivel. And so you take all that in. You know, Tyler, you gave some literal things about the car accident and stuff like that. It's like, there's nothing you could have done. There's nothing
at
you could
all.
have done. I mean, you say, oh, I could have gone on the left, I could have gone on the right. I've been in car accidents before, been hit. And I look back and I'm like, what could I have done differently? Not been on that road.
Right.
That's it. But when you're looking at all this stuff that we're talking about, is keeping your head on a swivel, I keep going back is broadening your scope. If you have that tunnel vision and all you're doing is going down the path that you think is right, if your brain is full, you stopped, right? No one wants to hear what you have to say because you're not willing to listen to what they have to say. So there is a point where you need to just stop talking, ask questions, broaden that. Keeping your head on a swivel when you're in a crisis mode, sometimes it helps, right? Because if you're the most qualified person to make the decisions, then it's on you. If you're not and you have an opinion of it, that's fine, but you have to really look at who's more qualified, who's more educated, and realize that you're out of turn, you're out of place. But I also think that if you stop learning, you stop asking questions, then you're selling yourself short, and that's not okay. Because now all of a sudden you get angrier and angrier and angrier, and that's what I've seen. That's what I've seen in my personal life. I've seen it in my personal relationships, my business relationships, is that you have this mentality that you are just driving your train down the tracks, and life's, to me, shouldn't be like that because you stopped learning.
It's about finding that perfect
You
balance.
stopped listening. Yeah, shut up for a second. If you just keep spewing information out there, there's two things. You're going to really preach to the choir. What does that do? Other than strengthen the known opinions. And you're going to not learn about why people think differently than you. And you don't have to agree with it. You're not looking to win an argument every time. You shouldn't be trying to do that. But if all you're doing is spewing out information and you keep going down that train track of what you have laid out in front of you, this is right, this is right, this is right. I have news for you that I am of the opinion that there will be a time that you will lose people, and you'll also be shorted. And you will wake up at one point, whether it be the next day or 10 years down the road, and you'll look back and be like, I wonder why people aren't around me anymore. I wonder why I lost that relationship. I wonder why I lost that job. Sometimes it's for the best.
Mm-hmm.
But I truly think that if you have this one track mind and you don't keep your head on a swivel, which I like, thank you for bringing that topic here. If you don't just keep looking and find that balance that I talked about, Nate talked about, is if you don't keep that scope broadened, that you will find yourself disappointed, alone in your opinion, and you'll be outdated because all you're doing is just trying to just talk at people, spew the knowledge that you think you have, and at some point, you will lose out.
You'll be too much worried about other people versus even thinking about yourself.
You're not evolving anymore. You're not growing anymore.
Right.
You might as well die because you know everything at this point.
Hey, the day I know everything, it's the day hell freezes over.
You're gonna live forever then.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Let's keep this going.
Keep learning, keep growing, keep talking, keep this conversation going. That's what I love about it. Ian had a great story that it was a little pointed. So check out the comments on the feed if you want to hear Ian's story. Thank you, Ian, for being a part of the conversation. Everyone else being a part of the conversation. I truly think that the one thing I love about doing this, episode 163, having Tyler on, Nate on, and the guys in the audience, and all you guys in the audience listening to this, is my only takeaway from this. My biggest takeaway, not only, but my biggest takeaway is not worrying about what other people think, but take it in consideration. It doesn't have to change your mind, but if you just close people out and you just fucking word vomit over them or opinion vomit over them, or you just like try to bring them down because they don't think like you do, it's not effective. You're not going to get far, and you're going to lose a lot of people. And you're also not going to get your opinion across to people because all you're doing is going down your own laid train tracks. And if you're just bringing it in from one source, you got a lot of faith in that source. There are a lot of sources out there, and there's a lot of information out there. And I truly think that you guys should broaden your scope. That's what I heard. Keep your head on a swivel. It's always being aware of your surroundings and also opening your ears and shut up for a second.
Right.
So
that's why when I texted you that idea, you gave me the Sean William Scott old school. Yes.
Guys, thank you very much. Patreon.com/BourbonBS podcast. Guys, if you guys want to contribute to this, if you guys actually appreciate it, we had 2 new Patreon customers or contributors tonight. I appreciate that. Nate, I do want to, just because it came to my head, you talked about the working out thing. I am constantly watching. I am not an expert. You know what I mean? No, but you were talking about that. It actually did bring up a thought to me, is that I constantly, even doing a workout, whatever body part, I'm still trying to watch like YouTube videos. I'm learning from people that I trust that know a lot more than me, that have PhDs in this shit, from nutrition, from everything else. And I'm 40 years old and I'm still trying to learn. I know what I know, but I'm still trying to learn, because I know that if someone has more knowledge than me and has educated themselves beyond me, I want to learn from them. So it could be a tweak in something. It could be a something that I'd never thought of or didn't even know about. And I try it and I'm like, oh shit, they're right. That oh shit, you're right type thing is something a lot of people are missing.
It makes you feel good, doesn't it? Like you're like, I figured this out, or I had someone helped me figure this out.
Yeah. And then I can pass that knowledge along.
Right. Exactly.
So thank you very much. Also, Tinder Box at Easton, Altadis USA, BS Cigar Company, and also Espinosa Cigars, and Tyler Jones for being here. Wonderful podcast. Thank you very much. A little scattered tonight, and I absolutely love it.
Some of the best podcasts.
Absolutely. Like Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Enjoy your week. I hope the weather is nice. Hold your loved ones very close. We will see you guys next week. I think next week we have the Jennings Java guys on.
Nice.
Shaw?
No.
Shaw.
No. AJ and
and Daniel.
Oh.
Cheers, guys.